The Olympics in Kenya doesn't pay. Yavi gets about 70 million Kenyan shillings, 65.7 million Kenyan shillings, just for appearance. In Kenya,
from
you go come back,
Bahrain.
they'll sing for you at the airport, then you come back home. But what are they really looking for? These guys are looking for sponsorship and for scouts to actually get them out there. So when this person gets to run well at the Olympic trial, they'll pick them up. But they'll forget that we have someone who has had a track record like Ebenyo. Ebenyo smashed him and Sawe. They ran the half marathon, I think it was in which country? I don't not remember, somewhere in Northern Europe, early this year. And they did really, really good. But just because Ebenyo tripped and he fell, he was not picked. They picked somebody who has done nothing but training literally the whole entire 2, 3, 4 years to make it over to the Olympics. The doping is a problem and we really need to go ahead and fix it. But it is a cartel, just like the water cartels in Kenya. Just the same way that we're also having cartels with police recruitment and KDF recruitment in Kenya. Somebody pockets some money to try and squeeze you through. And that's the reason why you also find like Yavi, who was like my little favorite little girl. She felt like it was very difficult for her to be able to make it into the competitions, like to the senior team, and she left.
When I tell you to go to Eugene to do trials for the Olympics teams, is because I know that you can go to Eugene.
Oh, so
The reason why it's you specifically you're going to Eugene.
And so the excuse that was coming out from Mr. Kimeu, I think is the one who is the head of something athletics Kenya, some department. He said that Eugene has a high altitude and that the individuals up there, you know, with the high mileage and high altitude training from Kenya, we can be able to gauge them better. It made no sense at all. The reason why is because it beats that whole analogy. Majority of some of the fellows that could perform very well at Eugene, many of them come to Kenya or probably Ethiopia, but majority of them come to Kenya. This retired marathoner from England, it's from Somalia, but he used to run for England.
Mo
Farah would spend most of his time in E10, literally training, and he became a champion training over in E10. And so you'll ask yourself, what do these people actually come to do back at home? Well, these fellows, they come at home to study what we do. They experience what we're doing. They come and realize that it's not so difficult than them going over to the high altitude areas like Albuquerque, somewhere in New Mexico. They could go over to Flagstaff, probably Arizona or Utah, and do the training. That's where Helen Obiri is. She's up in Colorado. It's a high altitude area. But why is it that our own Kenyan people back at home can still not be able to simulate the same? Is because these other fellows, they come, they see what we're doing, and then they add more to it, technology and science. Okay? And so that is actually what makes them get beat. So my argument was with Mr. Kimeu saying that, oh no, these guys, let them go over to Eugene. It's a high altitude competition and it's a high caliber competition. So whoever wins is going to be good enough for the Olympics.
Corruption.
Yeah, but look at it this way. So we have fellows in Kenya who are really good. We have a lot of good athletes in Kenya, but there are those ones who have not been exposed to go run outside, like maybe Ebenyo, who already was lucky enough to be spotted. He was scouted. He gets a chance to go outside and compete in a few other races. That's why he's been very popular. But there's somebody who's back at home. All he does is train so hard, nothing else but just to make it to the Olympics. The Olympics in Kenya doesn't pay. Yavi gets about 70 million Kenyan shillings, 65.7 million Kenyan shillings, just for appearance. In Kenya, you go come back, they'll sing for you at the airport, then you come back home. But what are they really looking for? These guys are looking for sponsorship and for scouts to actually get them out there. So when this person gets to run well at the Olympic trial, they'll pick them up. But they'll forget that we have someone who has had a track record like Ebenyo. Ebenyo smashed him and Sawe. They ran the half marathon, I think it was in which country? I don't remember, somewhere in Northern Europe, early this year. And they did really, really good. But just because Ebenyo tripped and he fell, he was not picked. They picked somebody who has done nothing but training literally the whole entire 2, 3, 4 years to make it over to the Olympics. The way they got to choose these fellows to represent the Olympics is disastrous. The names that I saw out there for the Olympics are not the names that I've been seeing for the last 4 years.
Wow, I mean, this is very sad. You know, one thing I used to think about track, you know, because it's straightforward. You know, like when it comes to picking someone to do this job, that job, you know, unaweza kudanganya, you know, Ali is better qualified in IT than Louis, so mpatie Ali job, you know. But you know, like when it comes to track, it's a track. It's whoever finishes first. You know, it's whoever who has the better times. You know, like it is very straightforward. You know, like ata ball unaweza sema maybe tunaweza kupendelea huyu over huyu. Ata kamba, but with track it's so straightforward. But now with what Louis is telling us, this is a very sophisticated type of corruption that's being done to disenfranchise people who've been posting better times. And then we're here wondering, you know, like how come Kenya is not performing as well, not knowing that there's all these shenanigans that's happening undercover. But Louis, real quick, before we go to the other point, to Mika, to the other parts of the Olympics as we wrap up, what is in it for the people who are crafting these corrupt systems? Because I'm trying to think, what do you have to benefit if you're like the gentleman you mentioned, I don't even remember his name, or if you're Athletics Kenya, what does it benefit you to put across athletes that are not necessarily the best, or disenfranchise them and tell them, oh, your trials are going to be in Eugene, Oregon? How do I benefit? If I'm Athletics Kenya, you know, how am I benefiting out of that? I'm trying to understand that part, Louis.
This is coming from the public domain, so I don't want to be quoted for it, but it is nothing short of cartels that are making money out of this, and nothing more.
So how are they making money? Is it that those athletes are paying them on the side, in order to be able to qualify for the Olympics?
Well, yeah, and definitely also some of them even get allowed to pass with some little mistakes here and there. Those ones that do not get to show up for out of competition testing, you know, and which is meant to be, I think, governed when they're out of competition. I think it's Athletics Kenya that are supposed to be looking into that. I'm not very sure, so I don't want to be quoted again one more time.
Yeah.
But the result they call the Athlete Biological Passport Program.
Yeah.
And Kenya has not been doing very well when it comes over to that. What that Athlete Biological Passport does is they look at abnormal blood changes, and you have to be tested every so often. Okay, and these particular tests have to be done with the guidance of Athletics Kenya, and that person has to be, I think, licensed by World Athletics, if I'm not wrong. We have a lot of athletes that do not even really care. That's the reason why, like right now as they're speaking, a little bit just around after athletics, the Olympics, we have about 44 cases of out of competition doping cases right now in Kenya. You must have heard President Ruto talking about this the other day when he went over to Kelvin Kiptum's funeral. He literally said doping is a problem. We need to go ahead and figure it out. Actually, it was Paul Tergat, if I'm not wrong, he was saying it in front of President Ruto, that doping is a problem and we really need to go ahead and fix it. But it is a cartel, just like the water cartels in Kenya, just the same way that we're also having cartels with police recruitment and KDF recruitment in Kenya. Somebody pockets some money to try and squeeze you through. And that's the reason why you also find like Yavi, who was like my little favorite little girl, she felt like it was very difficult for her to be able to make it into the competitions, like the senior team, and she left.
Wow. Now, what benefit, because I'm trying to understand, you know, like the science and the math of this. If I'm an athlete and I know, you know, like I probably, my time, you know, I know there's so many other athletes who are better than me, and I know if I go to the Olympics, I know I'm not gonna hit the gold, maybe I might not even make it to the finals. What benefit do I have of paying someone in Athletics Kenya to squeeze me through to the Olympics? What's in it for me if I know my time
Just
is
the
not?
name an Olympian is really huge.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we
Okay.
always have the good and the bad, or rather, we have those ones that made it and those ones that did not make it. It happens. We have some Olympians around, even here in the United States, that are really living in conditions that are not very good. Some of them are in squalor, probably. I think there is one lady, she was very, very good in pole vaults, and right now she's living in a one-bedroom apartment somewhere in New York. I was hearing her story 2 days ago, which is kind of sad. There's another one, I think she works at a pizza store. There's another who's a mechanic. So, there's always good and bad. But the moment your name is an Olympian and you know how to maximize on it, you will get invited to very many other invites. You don't have to bring yourself. For instance, now you can, just tell them, hey, tell your coach or your manager, I would like to go to the Peachtree race in Atlanta. And you know that the prize money might be somewhere close to $10,000 if you win. You know the Peachtree Road race is not going to be having like the high
The
heavy
hard
hitters.
hitters, yeah.
Yeah. And you made it to the Olympics. Your name was in the Olympics. So on the Atlanta General Constitution, your name will be ringing all over the place. Oh, former Olympian, to also bring in more money to the Peachtree Road race. And by the time you come in, just appearance alone, they'll give you something small. When you happen to actually win because the heavy hitters are not there, you get something small. Next minute, you show up at some race in Mexico, you make some money as well, just because you have that name, Olympian. It's nothing to play around with. That Olympian name is huge. And so it's like it opens doors for you. And it's up to you now to go ahead and maximize on it on appearance fees.